Hello! And welcome to the Voidcast. Love this intro, says Careful Cantrip. Nice to see that. Book 92.
Thank you.
Welcome to the show. I think I know who you are. And so welcome. And because we all have different screen names everywhere we are, right? Or not?
Yes.
Oh,
indeed.
Man, I have a main topic thing standing on the screen. That's not...
It is chaos.
It is chaos.
Let me tell you, people could watch me crash yesterday after our amazing episode last Sunday.
What, on parallel projections, you mean?
They could see me crash during parallel projections. I don't know if you saw this, but the start was great, where I was playing the game like this, staring at the computer screen, and people were like, yeah, we can't see the game. We can't see the game. It was still left on the overlay where you can just see my face. So they were just watching my face playing the game. So we were off to a good start.
Yeah, well, I think we had kind of a marathon for the previous month.
Yes.
And we are trying to relax. For those of you who don't know what we are talking about, we were live on GaryCon last Sunday, which was amazing. It was such a great thing. Michel did a lot of video and music stuff for that event. And if you know what it takes to produce a second of video or a second of music, then we know we have a different titling at the front at the end, and we had an introduction video, and we had a lot of socials. He did put a lot of effort in it, and then Eric made all the assets and put a lot of effort in it, and Roger did a great show where he made a very cool adventure that lasted 3 hours, except for the riddle part, which lasted another 3 hours.
Which also lasted 3 hours.
Yeah, but we compressed it through the rules of time bending, and so it's still watched as if we were playing for 3 hours and 5 minutes. But well, you know. And then I put some effort in, but I was still very stressed. And Jin put his effort in. And
riddle me this. No, please don't.
No, please don't.
No, please don't.
We don't want any more riddles. We we are done with riddles. Thank you, Badmaster.
Okay. To be fair, we're done. We're done with riddles under time pressure.
We are done. Yes. Normally, if there isn't any time pressure, we can guess. We know the answer instantly, you know, but
obviously.
So if we don't know the answer instantly, then we can talk. Then we can say that there is time pressure. That's the logical thing that we can deduce that from what we are doing. So the funny thing is, this might sound strange, but I'm looking at the chat. And all these people have these colored names and stuff. Esner, who just subscribed again for his 6 months in a row, so very cool.
Tier 2.
Is
Thank you very much for the
pale blue, and Ashley is purple, and mostly Ashley is yellow in my opinion. And Esner
but your colors are different from mine.
I know, but it sounds it feels like we're in kind of a Twilight Zone of episode where everything is just a bit different, and I know it isn't relevant, but it seems like that anyway.
I just wanted to get through. So Careful Cantrip said, "Love this intro." So thank you very much. I put a lot of effort
you want to
into
get
it.
through my things.
Yeah, but so
on my show.
I just like.
Okay. No,
yeah,
I'm taking. It's going to be.
I'm taking over. You know how this goes.
Michel, with 3 sessions, you guys still wouldn't have got that. I went in front of you.
Yes. Okay. Because that's the one that I wanted to get to. Because to be fair, I already answered 50% of it correctly within the first 10 seconds of discussing this puzzle. So
yeah, but did you know why?
Yes, I think Oddleaf even says so, but I need to watch it back.
We'll see.
We'll see.
We'll be doing a rerun of that show, of course. People on our own channel and on the YouTubes and everything, and it will be a great Inception kind of thing.
But I wanted to say for the new intros, not only was there new video footage, I also re-recorded and recorded some new audio. Yeah. So who in chat heard the addition? What is the main addition to the audio of that intro?
If you know, you can win a one-night stand with no, a very nice talk with Michel, and yeah. Anyway, tonight we have a very special show. We'll be doing the Gary Con episode. We'll be discussing that. We did an after the show, but well, it has ended now. It has been 2 days, and we'll see. Careful Cantrip is here. I don't know if it's Reina in chat, but if you are, please do a shout out because Reina was on with us on the show. Then we also be discussing. It is, says Careful Cantrip, so that's good. Good.
So Jasper, perchance is somebody perchance vacuuming in the background?
No, someone is making coffee.
Yes,
okay. Someone is making tea. Yeah,
that's
boiling
also
water.
fine. It's a boiling water. Yeah. That was going to be my next question: whether somebody was hosing down your apartment.
Probably
with steaming
I think it
water.
Will end soon, and I think my wife is now very conscious of the fact that it doesn't cook fast enough. Possibly. Anyway, so that's a thing. Then we'll be discussing episode 21 of the Precipice of Dreams, and then we'll be answering the main question for the show. And it was, what was the greatest session you've ever played, and why, of course, because we always ask the why. So hope you will be having a great evening. We also have socials, by the way.
We do.
For example, we have a Twitch account which you can follow, which helps us out greatly, especially when you come and watch. And we move to the top of the row in order of total number of viewers, and you can see our content. Then the other thing is we have a YouTube account where we place all our videos that we do on our 4 shows. And we have a Discord account where our Dungeon Master is giving us behind the screen views on how he handles his DM stuff. And there's other stuff there like the art and chatting and everything. And was on mute until I saw your wonderful faces.
So kind. Thank you very much.
Okay. Yeah. Next time then. And what is there more? We have an Instagram account and we have a Twitter account. And you can find everything under our link tree, which I hope still works when you do exclamation mark link tree.
I don't know.
For sure.
Exclamation mark link tree. No. Failure. But it is
mark
link tr./voidcast.
Okay, he's typing it in chat. And then, to this evening's Talking Void, next week on the same hour we'll be doing.
Oh, now Nightbot comes in with the link. Thank you, Nightbot. You were too late, but it was
Always
exclamation mark socials.
You really have to fire that person.
Thanks, Relver for. Thanks, Ashley, for pointing it out.
Oh,
yeah, we're idiots, Jasper.
Yeah,
we're idiots.
I know,
but
we are.
We're buffoons.
So Jasper's Rap next Tuesday on this thing, on this time spot where we'll do some more foreshadowing, getting practical about the theoretical stuff we did last week. The show still has to air on YouTube, so and you can still watch it here. There is a question if we are going to do a Precipice of Dreams next week.
There is a question, and I don't think that I can't be there, I think.
So we might do something else in that spot. For example, show you something that happened last Sunday, but we don't know yet for certain.
That was discussed. We might do a rerun.
Yeah, and then the Monday after that, it's parallel projections. No. Yeah, it's parallel
Monday
projections
after that,
again, and then it's Talking Void again. So we might have a guest in 2 weeks, but I'm not certain yet. So watch out for that.
Okay.
It's
exciting.
Easter Monday goal. I forgot. My game may well be delayed. Yeah, who knows? So that's a lot of talk before we even got to the introduction. Now we have to see if I have the introduction, and we have the introduction.
Do you have an introduction? Do you have introduction?
Yes, I have introduction video. So here we go.
Do you want to? Okay, yeah. No, never mind.
No, just say it because it's chaos.
I was just. Are you going to show the trailer again?
No, not
Are you?
yet. We'll be doing that
Okay,
as well.
you have a moment for that. Okay.
Yeah, we have a moment for that. Okay, here we go.
I said.
And we're back. So Michel is looking like madman, which is nothing new, I guess. Anyway, I always feel like I'm picking on you a bit on this show.
You are,
Yeah.
but I'm a big boy. I can take it.
Okay, that's cool then. Anyway,
But that has nothing to do with me being big or a boy. I can take it.
you can take it. That's yeah, okay. Let's dive into the show. And because it's so freaking amazing, we are going to do the introduction again to the Gary Cohn show.
Oh, no.
Yeah, so we have two trailers behind each other, but this is a great introduction for the first topic. So we'll just run them back to back because.
So if you. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, because
Okay,
you don't want to have all this work put into a thing and then just show it once, right?
That's true. That is true. Okay. So for those that don't know, or just watch this thing, if you get excited about watching this, you can still catch it on twitch.tv/GaryCon Log Geneva, but it will also be up soon on our own YouTube channel.
Yeah, probably we'll do the rerun. And
also, you can watch it live with us.
Indeed. So here we go.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was it again. Okay, so he's way louder, so I'm just gonna drop his volume because I can't make my volume come out louder, which is a strange thing, and I still haven't found out why that is. So please put your volume on max, and then we'll go and have some fun again. But thanks for the remark. That really helps. Yeah. I love how Solving has a meatball and the beat drops and it's so intense. Yeah. But he's like, here's my meatball. Solving fried chicken. Yeah, the chicken jokes are off the charts on Solving. And he has admitted to eating chicken. And then is that like a human eating humans? But no, it's not. It's really another.
Can you hear me?
It's a poultry case. So let's dive into we'll not go into this too long because we already did a very long recap. What? Truly? Well, we never know, Michel. Maybe we'll talk about this for
we can do whatever we want.
We can do whatever we want. But I know there are a lot of people there in chat who are anxious to know what I did with their answers on the main topic. So.
Yes. So let's get through it.
We always get to that part into the second half of the show. So let's get talking. Let's skip screens as well. Escape from Silentport Manor.
Yeah, we're going for that first. Yes.
Yes, we're going for that first because, we already did this kind of after party where we were so excited about every aspect that was in the show. And for those who haven't seen it, you can watch it sooner. So let's not be too much of a spoiler, but. I just loved the experience of playing at GaryCon, and I loved how we did it. I loved the pacing and the small interactions, the friction and the fun. What did you get out of it, Michel?
I loved everything about it. I loved the entire experience. I loved everyone who was on that show with us. Everyone that was commenting and hanging out in chat and watching us play live. I loved all the artwork that Eric made. The entire mansion map was awesome. It looked amazing. The creatures that we fought looked amazing. Also, awesome art by Eric. Our DM gave us a bit of homework. He told us to write down our character's greatest sin. And I think everyone did a really good job with that, except for Jasper, for reasons. But reasons.
Because I'm a bastard, you know.
But it was so much fun.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like we discussed so much already.
Yeah. So what we can discuss, I think, is for example the way that we why we did it this way. You know, that's great because that gives some context on what people might be going to see. Because we were 5th level, it was an isolated adventure, which had nothing to do with the main adventure and had everything to do with the main adventure at the same time. And we got to experiment a bit. Because, Michel, is the way you played Alterleaf the way you are going to play her and you progress to that level?
Yes, I might. So I don't know if people... Do you know what I did? Or can you take a guess on what I did?
Well, you went to healer path.
Well, the healing word I already have on my 4th level. I can do healing word. And Alterleaf comments on it, I think, already in episode 20, when she discovers that healing Thomas by using her warlock, other sort of magic, didn't work out that well, and she already tells Thomas that she might have found a different way of healing. Healing words already in my spell list. So
okay, so that's not the thing you did differently.
That's not the thing. No.
Well, I don't know.
I did describe it like I think it might be one of the first things that I did. As soon as the initiative was rolled.
Well, Michel, can you lift part of the veil?
Oh yeah, of course. So I used Misty Step.
You used Misty Step. Yeah,
and
that's
I
true.
described it as something that reminded people of the Grove, which is a sort of the Feywild where we were.
Yeah, the Endless Forest.
So the Endless Forest has left a mark on Oddleaf.
Ah, that's cool.
And I might keep it. Because besides a extra spell slot reserved for Misty Step, I also have a 1st level spell slot reserved for another spell, which I can also talk about it. So I thought I chose Bane. I never used it during the episode, but Bane is a very powerful debuff, and I do see Oddleaf as the crowd control character. So those sorts of things really work well with that, I feel.
Spoiler alert, there will be a very effective sleep spell in the one shot.
Oh, yes. All the choices. I feel like most of the choices that I made during Sunport Manor were dubious at best.
Yeah, true. We had to decide too quickly at some things.
Because it was a mix of wanting to go through it quickly, knowing that we would have multiple encounters probably, so there was a bit of resource management. But then again, there was also this... we knew that there was probably not going to be a whole lot of room for the role play or social aspect of the game. So as soon as the first priest this is really the beginning of the adventure. We're in a chapel and this priest starts freaking out. I thought, this is my chance. I'll just use command immediately to show, like, Oddleaf is a mind manipulator of sorts.
Yeah.
Right? Because that would tie into her sin. And
okay, so that's so cool. Yeah,
I did that, and it immediately failed. So
you're rusty.
So it was. I felt that the character Oddleaf would do that. She would use it like that, and then I tried to do it as a player. I thought it was a nice tie into the sin, but that backfired. Didn't work.
Yeah, that's cool.
Priest was already too far gone. No amount of.
The funny thing is, I cast a healing spell, so that was different. I don't know if I'm going to choose that again, but I had a whole.
No, oh shit! Now that I told that I have healing word, you already know that you don't need to.
No, but I thought about it, and I this is how my thinking went. Apparently, I wasn't there for a time, and Bowen had been, other Bowen Goodheart, and so I would be playing Bowen Darkheart in this one shot. I think that the way Bowen's mind works is that he wants to be there for his friends, and the more he can, do the right stuff, he will get a connection with that, and he might, I don't know how this will evolve, but he might have a better connection with Goodheart, hopefully. No idea. So I think so. There was a seeping over aspect and a wanting to be friends aspect to it. But then I had another void secret chosen, which is called detached existence, and I haven't done anything with that one. And that is such a cool void secret. It's my own character class, so I can say if it's cool. Can I? Yes, I can.
I almost have all my spell slots open. I almost have all my ability slots, my bardic inspirations. Like I've used the bare minimum in the end.
Yeah.
The only thing that went really fast were my hit points. So
I got 10 damage. Oh, I shouldn't say that. It was. Oh man, I was at the brink of death in the end. There, yeah. Oh,
I was in Soulwing too. Yeah. It was really exciting.
It was really exciting.
Actually, we left Soulwing when we
in quite a predicament.
Yes, let's not talk about it. Spoiler alert!
Spoiler alert!
It was a lot of fun. It was so amazing. So. The only downside was there was so much, especially with Reyna's character Shay, there were some really interesting implications for our campaign, and we couldn't really dive into that and role play that. But we talk about that in our after party. So,
and Ashley says it was amazing. You guys did so well, and Reyna integrated perfectly. And I thought that was the case. She really did a very good job. And
I really
loved the
felt
Soulwing interaction. Yeah,
like Reyna had been playing with us since the beginning.
Yeah, so we'll be asking her for other sessions in the future for sure. It would be cool anyway to have some guest appearances on the show, role playing with us. Oh, you guys. She always says that.
and I feel that, and I think I talked about that in the after party. But the moment that really sold it even more for me was when she said to Soulwing, like, these guys don't know, and it was about her god, which is one of the super strange implications for our campaigns, that she is worshipping another god than the main god of our world. So, and the way she said it was like, oh man, she's knee deep in lore. She knows stuff.
Yeah. So, and that's an aspect that we can talk about, because this becomes clear also in the first 10 minutes or something, that we always thought that the gods had disappeared, died, or whatever, like 200 years ago, 230, I think, 30 some. And then divine magic failed. And then Adam came a couple of years later, and divine magic was somewhat restored, but you had to worship this one god instead of the 16 that were there before. And I was thinking, is this because from behind a kind of veil, because we also had the chains implications, you know, are they being kept, or are they keepers, or whatever? So from behind the kind of veil, can they still grant a relatively small group of people? Do they still grant them divine magic, or are they growing in strength again? Which was one that I came up with later, which would be very cool.
Yeah, or it's just maybe I don't know. I had some other theories where some crazy stuff where maybe if you found a book for some god and you decided to worship that god, then maybe you were able to tap into some sort of divine power, like
Could
a
also
general
be,
divine
yeah.
power.
Yeah.
And by that means, maybe give some power back to a god, or
Well, you have to, because we have the solving thing where he got his powers from a kind of dream, you know, and then he had his hand that were enveloped in light, and when that happened, I, as a player, because Bowen wasn't really too concerned, thought, well, this guy is giving his last-ditch effort to this Everin that's so devoted to the sun that he's now the only proxy walking around on the world. But then Reyna came and that changed. Shay came.
You already gave it more thought than I or my character have. Than me or my character have.
Well, the thing I do the most is I like to draw a blank after a show and not think about it at all, because then my Dungeon Master brain starts rattling and I start to fill in things that could be wrong but could be, for the narrative, be right, and that's what I want to don't want to do. Yeah. But you, sorry, I interrupted you.
I mean, the monk's power, I guess they are also divine, right? If you're like a certain, I mean, monks are usually also somewhere in a religious or spiritual order of some sorts. But I never thought of Solwing's power as being divine power. Just like, oh, he can do Kamehamehas. It's awesome.
Yeah.
And Oddleif just thought like, okay, yeah, he can. I mean, he can do magic stuff.
Bedmaster says monk's power comes from within, and yeah, I think that's true because the channel key and everything. But it could still be considered divine, maybe not. It depends on what lore you use, because I think that for a while, at least in earlier editions, you had kind of three powers. You know, you had normal magic, which had a divine or an arcane sense to them, and then you had psionics, which was on another meta level, so to say. And those spells were quite unique. But in Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition, all magic is kind of accessible in ways to almost all the classes, although somewhat limited in some cases. And the arcane and divine dichotomy isn't that present. I don't know. You still have the divine casters and arcane casters, I guess, but no, it's different. Solwing did become a fluffy ball of whirling death, says Ashley. Indeed.
You mean that he no. Never mind. Spoiler alert.
Yeah.
But I think I said everything that I wanted to say
I had a nice crossing towards the next one.
Oh no,
Because
I actually have a question for you.
okay,
Before
sorry.
going. So I was just going to say, yeah, I know. I think everything was discussed now and in our after party. If people have questions about Escape from Silentport Manor, throw them in chat. We will go back to them and answer them.
As
But
good as possible. Yeah.
my question for you, being a philosopher, after hearing everyone's sins, I really felt, and oddly feels that way too, that she was the only one that actually actively committed some knowingly and like with consciously and with full knowing and whatever committed her act, while the others were sort of accidents that maybe could have been avoided, but it was like pressure things that most people would have gone one way or the other.
Yeah, well, I have been thinking about this because Roger dropped a whole lot of lore. By the way, the title for the next thing is already on the screen. Revelations 1 Dreams. It's the next episode, so we can shift into that from here on, I think. But you have a sin as a thing, and then you have a sin as being not one of the of not following one of the tenets of Adon. And I think that there's something to say about your sin being kind of a very the kind of sin you think about when you think of sins, so to say. But the absence of being meek, for example, is a sin already in the case of diverging from the path of Adon, or being instead of being temperate, being not temperate.
Yeah, I think that Oddleaf doesn't have most of the tenets of Adon. Like she's not a follower of Adon, and the tenets don't really apply to her. So that's not when I think about her sinning or whatever. It's
so what I think is that yes, you had the most sinful thing to tell in a way, which was the most obvious sin. And the other ones you could indeed commit to accidents and stuff. But I think that in the eyes of Adon, and especially in the eyes of the people self who felt they were sinning, they are still sins in that regard. But I agree with you. Yeah.
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 Okay. Thanks.
But I think that is why Roger is trying to paint us this kind of world where, because now I have to go into the riddle. Can we go into the riddle?
No, we don't go
Not
into
too much.
The riddle.
But man, this is difficult because there was this sentence. Let's put it that way, where he said, "Now we know why Adon is dealt the losing hand."
Yeah.
And that's because his path is so narrow. And straying left or right from the path is such a big chance. And that's why I think this sin in this way is...
I feel that his tenets, and I mean, Roger said it as well, sort of, and I like we've thought and talked about this before, but the tenets of Adon seem very easy to... If you abide by all of them to the extreme, you won't be a good person necessarily.
No, well, we had an interesting conversation about that, right? At least blowing good heart and old leaf.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Yeah. So, watch our episodes. Anyway.
So Ashley asks, but did the mirror show sin or guilt? I think it shows sin. There was nothing. There was nothing. I mean, Roger told us to prepare our biggest sin, and I did, but nobody knew how Oddleaf was going to react to that.
No.
So she feels guilty about it a lot. But Roger never knew that, so it wouldn't make sense if it was guilt, because I could have easily not feel guilt as Oddleaf. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense. So, Revelations 1, Dreams. Why is it called Revelations 1?
Yes. Oh, interesting. So we had such an amazing. So episode 21 of the Precipice of Dreams was a massive lore drop. It was a roleplay heavy session where we just sat down and for the first time ever, openly discussed some things. I think it was the first time that Oddleaf talked about her warlock patron in some sense, and Solwing spoke about his dream. In which he got the power. So we were sort of, and it was the first time he actually named the not the first time really, but it really, in all the information that and lore that got dumped that episode, like this clearer picture started to come about. My English doesn't make sense, but that's because
remember we are not native speakers. We can still make mistakes, and that's okay.
I didn't know where I was going with that sentence, but
I understand you anyway, and I think Chat does as well, right, Chat?
Yeah. So
and if you have any questions about this episode, ask them. Right? Ask them.
So a lot became clearer. Like we are no way know what the hell's going on, but things it's the first time we actually put some puzzle pieces down on a board instead of everyone was keeping their own puzzle pieces with themselves, right? I have these puzzle pieces and maybe I'll figure it out. And now for the first time, we're like, okay, I'll share my puzzle pieces. And then he shared and we all shared. And we had some puzzle pieces on the board. And now we're still missing a lot of pieces, but we're starting to build the puzzle. How do you like that analogy?
It's great. It's great.
Yeah,
it's just great. Yeah.
So we thought it would be cool to call this Revelations Part 1. And then every time we have a episode like this, where we start to put puzzle pieces together just by accident. I mean, we're not going to discuss beforehand, like, let's do a Revelations episode. When it happens, we'll call it Revelations 2 and Revelations 3. And we'll keep a separate playlist on YouTube with just the Revelation episodes. So if you just want to sort of see the lore dives, then you can watch that.
Cool. Yeah, I like it.
Yeah, and Eric made an amazing thumbnail for it. There's the thumbnail picture with a book, and he drew that himself.
Yeah,
which is amazing.
Yeah.
So all our Revelation episodes will be easily recognizable by the book thumbnail.
So there aren't a lot of questions about this episode in chat. So let's keep on talking with the knowledge that we gained. You just said that that we were putting the puzzle pieces on the table, and I think this is pretty funny because well, not funny. When I think about Bowen in this way, I think
Bowen doesn't have puzzle pieces.
No, both of them don't have puzzle pieces.
Both of them, neither of them.
They're so straightforward, but they neglect to say something. But that's purely from their. Taking things for granted. Well, for a good heart, it's taking things for granted perspective.
Yeah.
And from the other Bowens, like not having a clue that he should be talking about stuff.
For me, it seems that Bowen Goodhart might have some information, some puzzle pieces that he could put on the table. And then I'm talking about the whole plague where he helped out and he's missing a part of his memory. And something happened, but he already said, I'm missing part of my memory. I don't know. And I believe that he really doesn't know. But maybe, like, I feel like around that area in his life, there's probably some puzzle pieces that he could bring to the table.
Yeah, true. Well, in a way, I think I already revealed what happened at that point.
Yeah, he was probably other Bowen at that point.
Because he had to do triage for a long time, and he just got too tired, and then he shifted.
But we don't really know how long he was out, and
that's true.
And what else? So there was this plague, and this plague is really connected to this corruption that is connected to some evil, nasty thing that's happening to our world.
Yeah.
So in that sense, he was on the front line of this thing. So that's why I feel like maybe there is still something and that he knows. Like he may not be conscious of it. He may not even know that it is important. But maybe at one point somebody will say like, "Yeah, but didn't you do this?" And it's like, "Yeah, of course I did that." Like, yeah, that's probably really important to mention.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And I hope that I will discover such things about Bowen as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and I have a lot of lore from my background that I haven't told yet. So that's the thing. Whoa, hey Ashley, it was a very funny episode for me as DM to watching. Lots of introspection and roleplay, as you guys said. The interesting thing was watching how each of you had interpreted the lore and how you interacted with each other. One question: how much of the lore do you know, and how much are you creating as you interact? And Roger is picking up and making canon.
What Roger is picking up and making canon, we have no idea of. I do know that from previous campaigns that Roger definitely has a plan, right? He has a story, has a thing that he like, no doubt. But he was always in his other campaigns a DM that if you came to him with an idea, like I want my character to like go this path, or I want to try this, or even like I want to play a different character, can't we come up with a way to let this character leave and this other character to come in? He will always play ball. Like he will always be into it. So there might very well be some things that he's picking up, like, oh, that's actually a cool idea. So we most of us, I think all of us, wrote backstories that we don't know. And I have written some short stories with Roger behind the scenes that the others don't know about. So definitely there will be stuff from that he can use if he wants to, and probably will, knowing Roger.
Yeah, and the other thing is that he as Misha said, he has a plan, and he can be quite strict about the rules that are involved in that plan, and I think we're getting an inkling of that with the tenets and the what are they, dark tenets or something?
Dark tenets, yeah.
Yeah. And the stuff that you, and the 16 worlds and the dream realms and the world in between and the stuff, and Bowen should start eating jelly beans. When those show in canon, you'll know.
Well, I think like everything we do with our characters is canon by default, except for maybe Escape from Sellenport Manor. Is it canon?
Yeah,
is it canon?
No idea. But well, he's kind of a holistic dungeon master, so to say. So there are limits to what you can and cannot do, but he always tries to incorporate your ideas to the greatest extent possible, which is what I experienced when I suggested how I would like to have this character Bowen with two parts to himself. And then
also, I had a couple of conversations with him really at the beginning. I think within the first 3 episodes, where I was like, yeah, I don't know. I feel like you're trying to go this way for Oddleaf, and I wouldn't really like that. I'm not interested in exploring that part of Oddleaf or whatever. And he just told me, just dude, you know me, just trust me. Yeah. And I did, as I always do, and it's been great so far. So
yeah, and that's the thing about storytelling. You have to trust the storyteller to do it right in the end. Yeah. Otherwise, you'll just be second guessing everything that you're experiencing.
Yeah.
Go with the flow.
And what do we know about the lore? Absolutely nothing.
No, we are discovering it as we are going along.
Yeah, we know some stuff about the God War and the disappearance. We know that the gods disappeared. And
Yeah,
we know,
but that's the only thing we know. We don't know if there really was a god, even a god war, or that they really disappeared. It's what has been told to our characters by sources
that's absolutely true.
Yeah.
That's the history of. We know a bit of the history of a world, and we know our characters' histories.
Yeah. So interesting balance between a holistic plan and collaborative storytelling. Yeah, I think you nailed it there. We are telling a story together and discovering things together, and that's why we're still not in Brentwick, for example, because he thought we would have been in Brentwick like in 3 episodes, and we had a free episode game before we even started with our first live session. And now it's 21 episodes later, so 24 in total. And we're still not in Brentwick, but it doesn't matter because we're experiencing all this lore and having a lot of fun doing it. Oh, did you hear that? That's so cool. That was almost Roger's introduction to the game.
Yeah.
So no, we love it, and we are discovering it. And for example, I had this conversation with Roger about that when we would be going through the tree in episode 11, that when we would get out on the other side, that I would be the other Bowen. But I couldn't remember that we had this conversation. It was lost to me for some reason. I don't know why, or I repressed it or something. I don't know. So that when we got to the other side of the trees, and he couldn't really look at me because he was on the other side of the camera, and said, "But one of you isn't here, but in his place here is." And then he falls silent for a bit, and he says, "Jasper" or something. I don't even know how he said it, but. And then I suddenly went, "Oh man, this is so cool!" And I got all excited, thinking, "What's happening?" And then I had to suddenly discover within one sentence the voice that I would give to Bowen, and it destroys my throat every time I use it. Well, I use it wrongly. I have a technique where I don't have to destroy my voice, but I make mistakes in that regard. Yeah. So, and then I had to discover who this guy really was. I had an idea, but he came out so much cooler than I thought he would.
And it came up on our Instagram account a few days ago, or yesterday, 2 days ago, when I posted the artwork for Bowen, and people were immediately commenting on, "This guy looks creepy, he looks evil, he looks dirty, or whatever." And that was our first thought as well. And I think we have learned in the episodes after that you should not judge a book by its cover. And Bowen, I think the whole party actually likes Bowen now. Like he can still be weird, but I think everybody likes him. And trusts him now. And while at first, like, they didn't trust him at all, and that even didn't have anything to do with the way he looked or the way he spoke or the way he acted. It just had to do with the fact that we were expecting Bowen Goodhart, and there was this other Bowen there who looked completely different, who acted completely different, and I think oddly felt at first that Bowen Goodhart knew about this and had kept it a secret or something, So that was where that mistrust came from.
It could still be though, because I could be lying.
Of course. Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so is that enough about Revelations, number 1, Dreams? Or do we have to discuss that there are 16 worlds with portals leading to the main world and no portals in between, and that there's this place called...
Well, there could be a world in between.
The Premise?
Yeah, the Premise, which is the city where the god lives, but but it's also everything that's in between the dreams.
Yeah.
Because you call them worlds, but the RDM...
Yeah. Oh, did I say
not our DM, the NPC that we talk to, who might not know everything that the DM knows.
Yeah.
Called them dreams.
Go to Discord, see the Dungeon Master Corner stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. An expanding cosmology, so to say. And we don't know how everything relates to that. But the Singapore method did give me an idea of where we were and what that would mean, in a way.
Really? What?
Well, when you were in Odd Life's kind of ordeal, so to say,
Yes.
you saw the 8 tenets, right?
Yeah.
But there are possibly 16 of them, like anti-tenets. So, will there be another one where the other eight are prominent?
No, I think this was that you tried to say that this was a different world than Oddleaf was at in.
No. I think
Oddleaf.
this was the one that Oddleaf was in.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah, but I'm thinking that there might be another one where the other 8 aspects become more relevant.
I'm not buying the 16 tenants yet.
No?
No, I think there's 16. I think there's 16 gods and there's 16 dreams, and then I feel that there's a.
No, but it's the road between the Aiden's road is between these extremes, cowardice and recklessness. But only one of them.
That's what you mean.
Yeah.
Yes. So you think that there's 8 tenants? Yeah. That is the
associated with the world that we were in. Then there might be 8 tenants associated with
so
another
there's
world.
still okay.
Yeah.
So that makes more sense. So you have the 8 tenants of Adon. Then we saw 8 that seem to be the opposites of those 8, but you still have the extremes of those 8 that could serve as 8 other evil.
Yeah, or evil. I don't know, evil or
no,
we shouldn't think in
that
evil
makes more
even.
sense. I thought you were saying there are 16 worlds, so there should be 16 evil.
No,
tenants.
No. That's
okay,
not what I was trying to say.
That's where the confusion came in.
Yeah.
No, you're absolutely right. So that could very well be
this is a thing that we can talk about, and we have no idea, and we're sharing it with you right now, but we don't know if we're talking nonsense or everything.
If you're tuning in for the topic of the week, I'm sorry.
I don't think I have eaten enough brownies for this, says Ashley.
Yeah.
Brownies are good, filled up to the brim with chocolate.
So this is usually when we played our campaign, we would see each other. Like I would see some people almost daily, and others for sure weekly, and we would be constantly talking about our campaign. Like, what do you think? What does this mean? What do you think of that character? And what does it mean for the world? We can't really do that now, so that's why we're doing it here.
What I always loved as a dungeon master is hearing my players discuss stuff for a full week, every evening of the week, and in the weekend the whole day through, because I was with my friends that much. And then when they started the session, they would say something like, "We are going in," instead of the elaborate plans that they had come up with to solve something. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so well, it's past 10 before 10. That sounds strange again.
Wow, I see you understand time and clocks.
It's 10 to 10 and stuff. It's 7 to 10, and I think that means that we're going into the main topic, right? Because some people must have been waiting by now. Do a shout out if you have been waiting for the.
Wait, do you? One question. Do you have
one more question?
Idea?
Sorry.
Yeah. Do you have one? Do you have any idea of what O-Tour might be? Do you think it's connected to one of the 16 dreams? Do you think it's connected to the nightmare? Do you think it's connected to the premise, or do you think there's a whole different thing that we do not know anything about yet?
I think it's a Danish bicycle brand.
Okay.
But now serious. Yeah, I have been thinking of this, especially because of the name, and I've switched the letters around already to see some inkling about what this might be. I haven't discovered it yet, but in the end,
I can take a gander at the name.
Yeah, you can.
Yeah.
Well, do then if you want.
Well,
if you don't want.
because and this is a thing. So this might be a thing where Roger took something from us or from me in this case and made it part of his universe. Is where I like Oddleif Rathsvanger. Like I based her and her island and her lore heavily on some Icelandic aspects. So I used a lot of Icelandic names, and I think that Otur is also an Icelandic name, or at least Nordic.
Did you look it up, or aren't you going to do that?
I'm not going to do it, but I think Roger mentioned to me that he took a Nordic name.
Okay.
So and then with Otur, I immediately have to think about something like Thor, for example,
for Odin,
which is is more like Thor is the English pronunciation, but would be something more like Tore.
Oh, Tore. That's a nice name.
Yeah, Tore, a really nice name. But then again, Nordic mythology being what it is, where the sun and Thor is also Odin, is also, there's like these weird things that you always have in religions. So I think that it might even be something like it could very well be something like the Allfather in Icelandic or whatever.
That's interesting.
Like that. So, but I don't know. I didn't look it up. I don't want to know. I'm going to find out with the rest of you guys.
Okay, cool. Yeah. So let's go into the main topic.
Yeah. Roger will listen back to this and go like, "Oh, what an idiot! What an idiot!"
Yeah, possibly. But maybe we are getting things right this time.
Yeah, and then next session we will not mention all the things we got right, and only talk about the things that we got wrong. Yeah, so that's how it goes. Yeah, that's what you were talking about earlier as well.
What was your most memorable session ever, and why? You see the capital letters in the word ever? Because we really want to know. Let's go into the first answers, right? So Andrew, yet another Andrew. There are such a lot of Andrews playing Dungeons and Dragons. I even got in contact with this Andrew. He didn't get back to me yet, but I said, do you know where there are such a large number of Andrews playing this game? I'm anxious to know what he's going to say. Well, Andrew says, years ago, in one of the last sessions of a 15-year campaign, we went back in time and fought the first dragon. The dragon was the 5 by 7 inch battle map.
Awesome.
Yeah. My next character will be a human fighter named Andrew, says Razier. And our Dungeon Master says something. I have listened with half an ear so far. Sorry, I'm busy, but my ear kept burning. Okay, interesting. He may or may not sweat. Could
so
be
5 inch by 7 inch.
But 5 inch by 7 inch dragon. I always like my short answers at the start, which speak of wonder.
25 feet by 30 feet or something.
12.5 feet by 22.5 feet. No, you're right. 35.
Right?
35.
Inch,
what am I saying?
One inch thing is a 5 foot step.
Yeah, indeed. So 35 feet by 25 feet. Yeah.
25 by 35.
That's larger than most miniatures. That's true. So and it tells you nothing else. So the why is missing, but you can get the sense of
I can
excitement.
imagine that they arrived at this. So this would be cool, right? They arrived on this battle map, and it's like a orange thing with a row of I don't know, like spines or horns or whatever in the going through the middle, and you're like, oh, this is a weird semi-organic battle map, and it's like, no, you're on the back of a humongous dragon, and you're going to have to fight it.
Yeah. So that's why I like it.
Yeah, that would be pretty epic.
It keeps my mind reading. And now I want to do such a battle map where you're just on the big dragon. So players, watch out! You're going to be on the big ass dragon sometime in the future.
Just reminds me of my old school like Warhammer games where you would just like we never used like usually you use certain measurements and we just got like the biggest table and throw on everything that we could find in the room and that would be where we fought the battle. We didn't count points, we just every single miniature that we have we would put on the battlefield.
yeah, indeed. So I like the answer, and then the other one is John waited weeks to finish an encounter that was paused in the middle due to time constraints. First attack double 20, dead dragon. Rolling on the floor, laughing my ass off. The dice gods are fickle. Yeah.
Sounds awesome.
So because of Voidcast, I put one of my two out of 3 parties on hiatus. Because I just had no time to do everything, and Voidcast is really, well, my lifelong dream in a way, I think, with all the things we are doing. Yeah, and the Voidwalker stuff.
Of Jasper's campaign.
Yeah, so but I want to continue it, but I still have no idea how I'm going to manage it. But we left, one of the parties, we left in the middle of an epic legendary battle with them very wounded, with the enemy having taken like 100 damage out of X times 100 hit points, and very deadly circumstances in the room where they were totally being controlled by ghosts that entered their bodies and everything. So I'm wondering if this will happen to me, being two-shotted as soon as we start the battle again.
It's just like I can imagine if there was a rogue or something. Like you roll through 2 criticals with sneak damage, so they wouldn't be in the same turn then. But yeah, that
one is a reaction.
Crazy.
Yeah. That's so good about rogue. They can also sneak on reactions. So if you can ever get more than one reaction, that's so good for a rogue. Which is very rare.
Very rare.
And mostly not combined with a sneak attack anyway. Good answer, I thought.
Yeah,
liked it.
Awesome answer. Is it awesome? Like, it's most memorable in this case, but I can imagine that the build-up was so big, and then like we're finally going to finish this fight, guys. Okay, let's open our drinks. Let's get the crisps ready.
Yeah.
My dice are all like we haven't played in months. I polished all my dice. I printed new character sheets. I filled them out really perfectly this time. Let's sit down and do this. And then, like, you roll initiative, and then the first one goes. He's like, "Okay, it's your turn." And the guy goes, "Critical hit, hit, 120 damage. Okay, dragon is dead."
Yeah. So he does say rolling on the floor, laughing my ass off. So I think he had a great time. But the dungeon master, that's to be seen, or some of the other players who didn't even get to their turn. Yeah. It's funny. It's hurtful and it's funny at the same time, I think. Yeah. So let's go dive into the next one. Sanne. Oh, we were doing a one-shot where I was playing a rock gnome artificer. We were in the city that had both dragonborn and kobolds. The kobolds were living mostly underground. The game master planned a few battle encounters with combat. The last encounter was a kobold with some wormlings, we guess, protecting a dragon egg. The idea was to fight all of them to prevent the dragon being born and taking control of the city. Instead, my character got super excited about the egg and how they were taking care of it. The kobold was surprised took the genuine interest as a sign that they could be a bit more open about it. My character was basically Entrapta from She-Ra.
So I haven't seen. I'm trying to get my daughter to watch She-Ra, and I want to see it as well. But
so you can have it as a guilty pleasure in a way.
No, I wouldn't be ashamed of it. That series has won awards, and I really like the team that's working behind it.
I like My Little Pony, so there's no... yeah.
I actually watched My Little Pony back in the 80s. It was a fantasy series.
Yeah,
So I don't know how it is now. I've seen parts of it, but
well, there are really cool enemies like this Discord guy. I just love him. And
Discord guy.
Discord, yeah, he's called Discord, and he's like this really strange.
He can connect people.
He can connect people, that's for certain. Yeah, and no, it's really fun. There are all these moralistic stuff happening in between.
And Trepta, is that like I know how some of the characters what they look like and stuff, but I'm quickly going to Trepta.
So this is one of the.
So obviously, like I'm assuming they're talking about the new She-Ra series because the old ones we did. I watched He-Man when I was. Okay, yeah. All right, I have an image with Trepta, but then.
Yeah. Okay, so I don't know this person, but I like the story anyway. Yeah, and you get a sense of why. She's called Sonnet, so I guess she's I could say she. She said so much. So this is one of those things where you can't do a wrong answer because it's her favorite session ever, and you know why this is her favorite session ever because.
Funny, in Belgium, Sonnet can actually be a boy's name.
Oh, and in the Netherlands, so I had a son in my class who was a boy. Yeah. But this one is a she, I know for sure. Okay. And she's from the Dutch 20 community, by the way. So I got the answer from there.
I know.
Yeah. Where was I? It's a surprise, that your dungeon master does this for you in a way, and you feel victorious in your other type of approach to this problem that's in front of you, and you're allowed to succeed. I don't know her playstyle, of course, but it certainly is.
Well, it just seems like an epic moment in the campaign as well, right? Where a couple of things came together, and they need to protect this city or whatever, and then it might have derailed into this interest in this dragon egg, and then instead of trying to stop it, there's like different things might have happened. And they might have gone against the expectations of the DM, and I think that's always fun for a game master as well.
Yeah. So later on in the show, Michel, there will be an answer from one of the people in chat who tells something about his favorite session, and I know for a fact that you're part of that one. Oh. So are you going to tell him that it is not your favorite session, or will you very much?
You wanna hear my favorite session?
Yeah, I want to hear your favorite session.
a couple of good answers, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I can't name one session that is my most memorable or most awesome session ever. Yeah. There's awesome moments. There have been awesome sessions for sure. Some of them are memorable because they were super epic. Some were memorable because I don't know, like some out of character, not fun stuff happened. Some are memorable for other reasons entirely. So I just started to think more about what makes a session memorable. Right? So
taking control again, destroying the narrative. No, it's okay.
So I thought that we could sit here tonight, Jasper, and try to examine
what makes for a memorable session.
What makes a memorable session?
Well, I have the answer to that.
Oh, you have the answer already?
Yeah, it can be anything.
It can be anything. No, so in game, I think that I haven't really thought about it a lot, but in game, I think that the memorable sessions are probably determined or made by awesome epic moments, right? Either a character action. To name an example, in my old campaign with Jin and as a player and Roger as a dungeon master, we had this fight in a tower, and in this tower there was this big metal ball with arms, and we were running up the stairs that went on the inside of the tower, and this was a hollow tower. We were running upstairs, and this ball was just floating in the middle and attacking us with all these elongated arms and things and razor blades and whatever. And then at one point, Mark, a good friend of mine and guitar player and singer of Stone Golem, hi Mark, he played a monk, and he said, okay, I'm going to run up, I want to backflip, and then land on top of the dome and punch it to the ground. He had to make a couple of rolls, and I think he like either critted all of them or had really high rolls and then critted the final attack, and it worked out. And he basically just like ran up the stairs, and we had been fighting this thing in this tower, and he just ran up the thing, did a backflip, landed on top while like striking down, and this thing collapsed, and we won, which was an epic moment. And then epic moments built by the DM are like these major story reveals that we had a bunch of in our campaign that you can talk about as well. Haven't experienced them as well. So there were a couple of epic fights. So that's a different thing. It's not a story moment, but a specific fight that I already talked about on this show when we were talking about the most epic encounter, which was this chaos demon. And it was not even one of the major story beats per se, I think, in the campaign. But that encounter was so cool that it just stuck with me. Right? So that's already 3 different things, like a character moment, a story reveal moment, just an encounter that made it memorable. And then there's the stuff that have nothing to do with the game itself. So one of my most memorable games is sitting at your place you were then living on the Voorstraat.
In the Dordrecht.
And we played Stromhold an entire weekend, and it was like 14 or 20 of us that walked in and out and played this mega epic Dungeons & Dragons encounter. But just the whole vibe, the encounter was cool and the characters were cool, and it was all about combat and trying to get, like, what was the craziest idea you could think of in a 3rd edition character, you build it, join combat, die. If you died, you made a new character. If you didn't die, you survived, you got some experience, you went up a level. And that concept was so cool, but then that specific day was also like just so many friends having a good time, that's one of my most memorable sessions.
Yeah.
And then there's the most recent ones. Those are memorable because they are recent. So Escape from Sellenport Manor was definitely memorable because it was amazing and awesome and a lot of stuff happened. But also the out-of-game context of being on GaryCon and performing. Can you say performing? Not really. Playing this game for a big live audience. And with the pressure of it being like this international convention that made it definitely memorable. And then there's the one that you're going to talk about later, which was so much fun that it will also be memorable. Like
we'll come to that one later on, I think.
Yeah, so I'm not going to talk about it. So yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'll do my one at a later point when I can connect to a certain topic that will be in chat. Sure. But I agree, and I've been you will love the final comment then, I think, because that plays into this in a way, a very elegant way. But I agree. It's all these memories attached to them.
I was hoping it would be Voorstraat Utrecht. No, it was Voorstraat Dordrecht.
Almost, it sounds the same, somewhat.
I think for most non-Dutch people, they will sound the same.
Dordrecht, Utrecht.
Something like recht.
Yeah. So let's go to the next one then.
Yes.
This was a DM perspective, which I liked as well. Corey says, as a Dungeon Master, my favorite session was a part of my Tyranny of Dragons campaign I run, where the party entering a mysterious silver pyramid that was the center of a mutation going on with the local land's fauna, animals, and other inhabitants. They battled through a maze, and some of the players, new to Dungeons and Dragons, found their style of play and made some gutsy calls that made it super entertaining. Got messages from 5 of the 8 players after the session who said it was the most fun they had ever had during their time in the D&D so far, which in turn made me feel ecstatic.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have to head out. Talk soon. No! Well, okay. But we'll see you.
Thanks for joining us this evening or afternoon for you. And thank you so much for stopping by, and have a great day. I'll see you soon.
See you soon. Esner says, sounds like Bowen in horror form. Utrecht, Dordrecht. I have to remember that when I do horror form. Okay. So what do you think of this one?
Yeah, it's great because it's like one. So for the Dungeon Master, it was something that I said earlier. If your players do unexpected things, that's always really memorable. And it can be unexpected story-wise. It can be unexpected actions. It can be an unexpected a use of abilities or spells, like a certain combination or whatever. And that surprise is, I think it's always great for everyone when you're surprised in some sense. Yeah. So here, newer players that all of a sudden something clicked during this session, and they tried some really cool stuff and it worked out. Yeah, I can totally imagine that's super awesome.
I also love the feedback that he got out of it. I remember like a couple of years ago, it's also connected to my mood at certain points, that I felt that because we're always saying, if everybody at the table is having fun, then I'm having fun, and my players were having fun, but I was not having that much fun anymore. And then I started to realize that we just left after every session and just went our own way, and that was it. I was feeling that I wasn't receiving back the effort that it took me to plan these sessions, and the effort I made, so to say. And then so things like this, when your characters get back to you and tell you that they were so excited, and that gets him excited, that really gets to me in a positive way. When your players do that, players should realize this as well.
I think that a lot of players don't really realize how much effort and preparation there goes into DMing a campaign.
Yeah.
Like so that might be changing, I don't know, but at the age that we started playing, like the first things were like when I was 11, and I prepared a session for some friends after that, and then at that age, I don't know, it just felt like we were all playing the same game. So we all had. I didn't have to prepare anything. I mean, I did prepare stuff. I made sure that my character sheet was up to date. I made notes. I would go over the notes. I would discuss. So I felt like I prepared for a session as well. And I never expected or realized that the Dungeon Master would probably be doing 10 times that preparation, right? It's just, we're all players. If you've never been a Dungeon Master, you don't know how much time the Dungeon Master spends on it.
Yeah, and this is the thing where you have...
And we never talked about it.
No, and this is the thing where some people think it's daunting to become a Dungeon Master, and we all say, no, it's not. You should try it and find your own way, and that's true. But at the same time, it's true that you have to take a lot of hours outside of the game to prepare for these things. And there are these Dungeon Masters who who don't have to prepare and do everything. I mean, Allard, when he was here, he told us that he could sometimes do sessions when he didn't prepare and had a lot of fun anyway. But it also has to be in your nature as a dungeon master to be able to do it that way, because then I feel really underprepared, and I'm always nervous before a session, so I can't do that in a way. And some sessions that last 4 hours take 20 hours of effort and then of course you have stuff prepared for a longer time, but then in that week you had to put 20 hours of effort into it, and you hope to get something back out of it. So there's a lot of things happening in chat in the reaction
so I
to
just
this.
want to say, while you read chat, I'll say, Roger, I already told you in the last couple of years a bunch of times, but really respect the hell out of what you're doing right now and what you did in the Legacy of Time, even though we didn't, or I didn't tell you maybe as much as I should have during our playtime.
So Ashley says, for a dungeon master, there's nothing like that feedback. Sometimes you can feel disconnected from the moments as you are refereeing. Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, I totally agree. Feedback is everything. Razor says, I totally feel that, Ashley. Yeah, so we all agree then. Angstpsych 87 says, it's great to hear and see that other people understand how important that feedback is after hours and hours of prep, and even some self-doubt thrown in there, not knowing if you're doing a good job or not. And Ashley replies, you talked earlier about the fun of spending all week talking about aspects of the game. I feel I can't do that as I am a blabbermouth and will spoil the surprises. So we'll keep quiet.
So when I say that I wasn't, that it might have seemed that we weren't appreciative of Roger's preparation time or campaign at that time, which is untrue. We were super appreciative already, but we might not have been super vocal about directing it at Roger, like, hey man, that encounter was super awesome. In the beginning, I think that changed over time. But what we always did was what we were talking about earlier. Like, we would always be talking about this campaign. Yeah. And Roger was present, and he would just be silently sort of sitting there going like, okay. So he knew, like, you don't talk an entire week about a thing if you did not enjoy it or did not like it. So, and I think that funny, Roger was smart enough, or at least took that as his feedback of I'm doing a good job.
I think it's funny that Ashley says that he's a blabbermouth and so he can't be there. Just start learning it, Ashley, because it's so much fun to do it. And I am not a blabbermouth at all. I can keep a secret for a very long time. And I'm so excited because one of my parties, which is not the party that it happened to earlier, but one of my parties, the same one who is now on a hiatus and is in the middle of a fight, will discover something in about, well, you never know how many sessions it will take, but a couple of sessions that I have kept secret for 20 years, even more, 22 years. And they will finally discover this. And it wasn't really in the planning that they would even go to the location that they are at now. So, and I'm so looking forward to that part where they encounter something that...
Razor says, I recall an impromptu total improv session I did with Allard and another friend at 3 a.m.
You're interrupting me. You're interrupting my cool, very cool... So now I'm finished.
I thought you were finished, sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt you. I was waiting for you to finish.
Okay. It was amazing. Okay. We have to do that one again. I was making fun, Michel.
I recall an impromptu total improv session I did with Allard and another friend at 3 a.m. It was amazing. Sounds like a dream to have players talk about your campaign constantly between sessions, to be honest.
Yeah, but there were other times as well. You know, we were teenagers and we always hang together, and we don't do that now, and we don't do that anymore. Some of us still do it, but it's a pity.
I think there was a period where I had coffee with Roger every day, at the very least, when we were both studying.
Yeah.
We would see each other every day, basically, and then the weekends and hang out, do stuff.
Yeah. Okay, let's go to the next one. And this is... Carl says, I was brand new to the game, maybe 4 or 5 sessions in, 3.5 era, with a long spear, which is a finesse and reach weapon. The previous sessions I was having a lot of trouble understanding the mechanics of combat and whatnot. But this one session... ... Do you know what this means? This ...
We're going to the big answer screen.
You're going to the big answer screen.
I think this... Is this the first... No, you had a big answer screen when Allard was there. Was it?
Oh, yeah, I've had a lot of big answer screens by now.
Yeah, no, I was going to say I think this is my first big answer screen, but I don't know.
Oh, okay, yeah. Ta-da! So here it is, the big answer screen. I will be staying on the big answer screen for now, for a long time,
Right.
because there are a lot of big answers. Our group was outnumbered, but in a narrow hallway, and we were able to maneuver in a way where I was getting a bunch of attacks of opportunity on top of my regular attacks. I feel the DM probably designed the session to make me feel better about my performance by making me so effective, and it worked. At the end, I had killed so many of these shadows that my spear became imbued with the anti-shadow property. That was one of the last sessions I could play for almost 10 years because of work and life commitments. I'll always remember it.
That sounds like an awesome session. That also sounds like an awesome realization for the power of a pole arm in the third edition. Also, that awesome session. I mean, it's probably a shame that you didn't play for 10 years because of work and life commitments. But yeah, to have such an awesome session as a last one, to keep the excitement at least high.
Yeah.
Like if you end with one of your worst sessions ever, then you might never pick up the game anymore, and then now it will always be there. So I really like this answer, and I like this answer because now imagine my surprise in 5th edition when pole arms all of a sudden became the overpowered thing to do. So in 3rd edition, I was always really in love with the idea of the glaive. One
second, Michel. Psych, is this your shout-out then, or am I mistaking people now? Because I don't know for sure. If this is your one, then it is a great one. If it was the previous one, then it was great too. But I just want to have it correct with you.
Or it was just us calling him out in chat. That was.
Oh, okay. That could also have been. But thank you for being here. Definitely be back to watching this again. Yeah, it would be very cool. I will do fixed draws comment later on, but let's first continue with this one.
So I was in love with the glaive. I just think it's an awesome weapon. I love also just spears and pole arms in general. When playing Hero Quest, you had the halberds, which were always really cool to me. I did kendo, but you have another version of kendo, which is Japanese fighting art. Which revolves around the sword, and there's another one that revolves around the spear or pole arm, which is Naginata, which I always thought was maybe even cooler than kendo. So I always had this fascination for these things, and I had in 3rd edition as a DM, I had a world where nobody used swords and everybody was using glaives. And the coolest thing about this, I thought, was that you had to maneuver to use glaives because you could only use them if you were 5 feet apart, if there was 5 feet between you and your enemy.
Yeah.
So you were forced to move every time you could. And I thought that was so interesting and made combat so interesting and made positioning and your maneuverability so important. And I get that feeling from this, that all just came together in this really cool combat encounter.
Yeah, the funny thing is that in 5th edition it really has become a control weapon because you have the polearm mastery where you can do opportunity attacks when they come into your area.
Yeah, now it's the overpowered thing. It's like Sentinel, polearm mastery, and
there are all these combinations. Doing opportunity attacks with a bugbear, which is what Mike even referred to. Because you have 10 feet reach when you have when you have opportunity attacks with a bugbear. So then you have 50 foot reach in total. All these silly things, and then it suddenly becomes very cool weapons. But I think that it's earned in a way because it gives something else to do on the battlefield, so to say. Yeah.
I like that fifth edition is being called like it's a edition where they took the best parts of all previous editions and made it into like the ultimate version of Dungeons and Dragons. But pole arms were always really important in the first and second edition. Like Gary Gygax would like write pages on pole arms and it would be like sword, short sword, and then these 25 different pole arms.
Yeah, it's a second edition handbook. I think you have them all put together
and
beside each other.
Yeah,
that's so cool.
Yeah.
But the other thing that I really like in this answer is that he says he thinks the dungeon master did it for him. And I can imagine this dungeon master being like, oh man, I really have to do something for this character. What am I going to do? And really taking time to cater to this person. And that made it at once the greatest session for him to have ever played and a memory for life. And that's the thing you can achieve as a dungeon master when you listen to your players. Yeah. So I love that. Yeah. Vix draws. Most memorable session for me as a dungeon master wasn't really a session, since that particular campaign was done through text. So it was more of an arc that spanned over a week, where my players received some respite in freedom fighter camp. One of them met their future spouse there, two of the PCs began a relationship, and one of them sort of altered the course of her life, taking charge of it more. It was a great role-playing experience between everyone and bring some closure for them. Yeah, cool, Vix.
Cool, yeah. Really like a different, more character building, personal story development moment that made it memorable.
Yeah, and I can imagine why you. I have a couple of games on roleplay that are still airpole.net, which are more than 9,000 posts. So I can see the charm in this kind of communication, because you can always read it back, and see what happened. The only thing that is really abhorrent to me is that I didn't care about any spelling mistakes that I made. I just wrote and press enter, and I can't read it anymore.
You were a lot like we did airpole. For a while, we had 8 campaigns running at one point. I think.
Yeah, because I wasn't enjoying myself at school, and so I had all these campaigns, and too much of them, but so fun. Arenas,
I had my first
campaigns.
Dungeon Master experiences on like for real, where I had my own campaign world and war and everything on.
In text. Yeah.
In text, and I can still read most of it back because I think I saved most of it, but there's also some character arcs that
what's so cool? Mireneas, who is always in chat, but not now, I think, so he's not always in chat. He often says, Jasper, one of your games is in the bin again, so come and refresh, and then
really he keeps checking them.
He keeps checking them, and cool. They are still around because of him, really. Yeah.
So I just want to comment on Ashley Gibson, who says, and of course, Matrim Cawthorn's quarterstaff in the Wheel of Time. Yeah, that's also an amazing weapon, which is an awesome weapon. And I wanted to mention it specifically because one of the other airpole campaigns that I DM'd was a Wheel of Time campaign, which was also based on the 3rd edition rules. I have the rule book right there. It's an awesome book with maps of the cities.
Yeah, I started Ogier once there, but it never took hold.
No,
in Werner's version of the adventure. Okay, so this one was a nice one to discuss. So here we have an answer from, I think he is in chat, and for some reason I didn't include the name, which is not so good for me. So give me a second.
If you're in chat and this is indeed your answer, give us a shout out. Give us a shout so we can properly thank you.
So there we go. Sorry for that.
Okay, so it's okay. Yeah, so it's Wook
there
92
yeah.
then.
Singleton player had zero prior experience with TTRPGs. I might have created a monster during that one shot. Yeah, okay, so what's the story? My most memorable session to date was during a one-shot in Alien RPG. 3 characters, McWeir, Hirsch, and Singleton, were hastily moving through Hadley's Hope. Hadley's Hope, sorry. Looking for a key card so they could leave LV-426, a moon. Contrary to expectations, they survived without any problems, although they did start to collect a large pool of stress points, which I want to get into. When I said, "It's going better than expected, no one has died," the game was cursed. Less than 5 minutes later, Hirsch got into a frenzy at the sight of an attack on a non-playing character because of his accumulated stress. He couldn't do anything more than attack the nearest person/NPC, in this case, McWeir. Meanwhile, Singleton was preparing the spaceship to take off. A fight broke out between Hirsch, Frenchie, and McWeir, in which Hirsch was defeated. When McWeir sat with her back against the wall to recuperate, Singleton entered the cargo room and said, "I will shoot McWeir." In the space of 5 minutes, we went from everyone alive to only one survivor. In Alien, the pre-gens all have an agenda. Singleton had the agenda that her friends, colleagues, were not allowed to leave the colony alive.
1 second.
Also Michel really wants to do an Alien RPG, so he's going to get a book right now. I love the answer, this answer, and I love that is for a time. It's another a role-playing game as well. Yeah, you see there it is. I actually remember when this post-game was discussed on the survey. I guess it's so memorable even non-participants remember it. Zero to Hero, right? Yep. So I love this story because I love Alien. I love the way that these things work in Alien. I don't
like it.
You don't like it. No, you don't like it at all. That's why you have the books and just drop them in your.
Now I'm sad that I'm not wearing my Wayland Yutani t-shirt. I've worn it a lot.
Did you watch Millennium as well? The series?
No.
Okay.
I know that Bishop is in there, right? I always thought it was sort of a X-Files clone.
No, yeah, it's really strange.
Started out like that, maybe. Yeah. Anyway, back to the answer.
Yeah. A great experience and well written. Yeah, it was pretty well written, but it was dark and it was strange and everything. I really have to see that series again. I'm thinking of what I might think of it right now. But anyway, this story is great. And what I love is that things are taking over in here. And it's so the feeling of Alien. So I understand that this is a cool RPG. For myself, and Michel knows this because I have talked about it when I was playing on Fortas, my Dungeons and Dragons character, that I sometimes felt that I had too little control, and Roger does know this as well from me. I can't stand it when control is out of my hands. I can stand a domination spell, but a game mechanic controlling me or something else controlling me, I can't cope with that. But in this case, I totally understand the atmosphere when I read this and think of the time I played Alien vs. Predator, the first one, and went in as a Marine and just through all of this silence walked to the furthest part in the ship and then had to walk back because my scanner suddenly started bleeping, and the stress that came from that when I was sitting behind the PC. So really good story. And Michel, take it from me. Yeah.
Just reading this, it's giving me I can see it, right? And it's like a part of a alien movie that you can just see in your mind when reading this. It's like typical. Seems so, and there's no alien anywhere in this story.
No,
which is amazing. Yeah, and that's what it's all about, right?
Yeah.
I love those movies, and I love the RPG as well. And I've talked about this before, but I'm planning to do something for Voidcast with the Alien RPG. So I have this 5-arc story in my head that I want to do. As a sort of special 5-episode thing, or whatever. I don't even know yet how or how or what. But
Maybe it's a thing we can pre-record in a longer
Yeah,
session
yeah.
for a
So
time.
so that's the thing that I
Yeah.
wanted to do, and edit it more and get some rules in there maybe, right? While we were playing, like edit stuff in, so it's more elaborate show,
Yeah.
and pre-record it and then live stream it, react. But that's not the point. The point is this. So part of this entire thing is that it can go wrong so easily for so many reasons, mostly because of the stress induced and everything, and people start fighting each other, and like I have a bunch of things in my head that would happen during this arc, and so my fear is that if you want to do a 5-story arc and you want to complete that story,
You will never get there.
either you have to give up playing that story, like finishing that story, and just let the story be whatever it turns out to be, or you need to railroad people a bit more.
Just let it
And
play out, man. I already know.
I haven't figured out how I would do that, and I don't know how I would do that with this particular game system.
We'll see. I'm in. I think that when you introduced it the first time, it was a bit early in our Voidcast career, but I'm starting to get there, you know.
Yeah, so I already have some maps done and everything. Like I parts of this this campaign. So
Cool.
yeah,
Ashley says, I can't watch Alien, would have to watch so much Bambi after that before I could sleep. And Ashley says that, and Esner says, I once rewatched the original Alien during a long flight, sleep deprived and on a small ship made it just so scary. Yeah. And it's still a good movie. I saw it years later, or a couple of years ago, to say, and it's so good. It's just so good. It's amazing.
Me and my wife rewatched those movies, like Aliens, and even Alien 3, and sometimes Resurrection, sometimes Alien versus Predator. But specifically Alien and Aliens, we rewatched that almost yearly.
Thanks, Book. Yes, I translated it, but I must say that Google did a great job for the most part, and I just had to edit some stuff. Man, Google has gone great at translating these things.
It really is.
Yeah. Yeah. Razor at Michel, regarding arcs in your story as a GM, I'm currently doing this where I put players on separate missions as soldiers. I have already worked out the missions in succession, and the way they complete missions and degree of success will affect the future missions. I currently have 2.5 arcs done and 1 arc played.
Yeah, so it's yeah, I understand what you're saying. So yeah, that could be a thing. Where I make it sort of separate missions where they can succeed or fail the mission, and
maybe you just have a dropship land with spare playing characters dropping.
Well, that's the railroading thing, right? That's what I said. And Alien can work a bit more like you're setting a scene, and then after certain time you sort of go over to the next scene. So as a game master, you can sort of wrap up the scene at some point. If things go really terrible and you need them to continue, you can always say like, all right, so you're doing this and everything went terrible, but just by the skin of your teeth you escape, you get on the ship and you fly off or whatever. Yeah. Right? You can always go that route. So that's one thing. Yeah. I also, and this is completely crazy idea. So in the Alien universe, a lot revolves around these ship crews, right? So I thought it might be interesting to have 2 parties that do not know of each other and what they're doing, and have them play parallel to each other, and then do something with that. But yeah, that's going to be that's going to be such an undertaking.
Lots of ideas I can hear.
Yeah, there are lots of ideas, but the core story is already there, and I already prepared some stuff for it. I just need to figure it out how exactly I'm going to translate it into something for Voidcast.
So thanks for sharing, Wookie. If you want to add something to it, you can. I hope we did it justice. You can say so in chat if you want. And if we didn't, then we just keep on talking about it. But you can see that we are excited about the story that you sent in as a
great answer. Love
great
it.
answer. Yeah.
10 out of 10. We'll read it again.
Wow. So the next one is by Tom. Hey, there's a Tom Razier in chat. So we have two people.
Yeah, and if
in
you're
chat
ever
who,
running a game on the Dutch 20 Discord, then I could make it. Like I would want to play a game.
Yeah. Oh man, I've had so little time. I want to go into a lobby even once again on Dutch 20, but I just don't have the time.
No, I know.
Tom says, IGM the fourth level consisting of a paladin, druid, rogue, and cleric, all pacifists, all diplomacy except for rogue, who was a scoundrel. As part of compensating for a loss of rights to cutting down trees in a certain area due to the PC's meddling, they entered some mines to look for lost tools. Q. Rust monsters. They slay them, but the paladin almost loses her shield, which is her holy symbol, as well as a keepsake from her backstory. She stows the shield on her back so monsters won't touch it. Then she slings the corpse of the rust monster across her shoulder, gave her a roll to see your mistake, natural 1, drops the rust monster and the shield drops as well and shatters. Where's I'm missing a sentence here. And shatters. Why can't I? And shatters. Her arm is touched as well. She loses it and there's... sorry. Yeah, this is not going well. Pardon.
The Matrix. It's...
Yeah. Her arm is touched as well. She loses it and assembles all pieces while sobbing. They walk back in a rage, don't see the cube, which I gave a lot of hints for, and the paladin walks into the cube while the rogue is dropped by the first hit. The rogue is quickly healed and tries to jump around the ooze, misses again with a natural 1 and drops dying again, luckily not inside the ooze. They defeat the ooze, but the party loses quite some armor and weapon quality in the progress, and drag the rust monster back anyway to show the foreman. The foreman thanks the party for their services, and they decide to ask the lumberjack guildmaster for recuperations for the lost armor. They plead no deal. He made this a bit more elaborate in his story. I will share the link soonish in chat. Oh, you already did, so that's good. Cleric is very averse to political crap and finally loses it and slaps the guildmaster with a now rusted gauntlet for 6 damage. The paladin has no holy symbol or components, the cleric is seething, rogue has already died twice almost, and the druid is witnessing the whole mess in the house of the guildmaster surrounded by now enemies. And that's where we will end tonight's session. Finally, the party is considering violence as a viable option. So, two things. The story is great. I condensed it quite a lot, so if you want to see the whole story, read what's behind the link from Razier. The other thing is that the comments that are on there, there's a really long story, there are really a lot of questions asked of Razier about this session, which are very fun to read. So you go there and read these answers to his session description. Yeah, I like this story because of the diversity of reasons. But maybe you should start, Michel, so I can do something about chat that's going so fast.
I'm logging in to upvote, and so I can read it later. It's archived. I can't put it, but I can save it. Probably. I can still upvote it. Yeah, no, I love it, and it seems like things went from bad to worse.
Yeah,
and it's always great when that happens.
I think Razier introduced it as giving 3 people a trauma. So go on.
Yeah. So yeah, we have people losing their equipment, people dying, people getting frustrated, the characters getting frustrated. Then all this political crap, and then the part where you think you're finally safe, you get things fixed or done, like it even that explodes in your face, and now you have to fight off an entire village if you're not careful. Yeah, it's amazing. I can totally understand how if this would be like a multiple. This could have been 3 arcs, right? Three separate stories, 3 separate sessions. Like one where you're fighting in the cave, other is maybe the rust monster and the cube, or and then the politics, and then the aftermath. Like they could have all been, and to have all that in one session.
But
And
you
then
know,
at
these
the end-
players were experiencing emotions that drove them to make mistake after mistake. And that's so funny about this one, because probably if it had been more sessions, at least for the cave part, then they wouldn't have approached it this way, almost for certain. In the rush, there was a lot of things happening. Yeah.
So, and the only other thing was which was not. Sorry, I'm not peeing. I'm getting some cold.
Now I have to pee. No, I don't.
Now I was peeing. So, and the other thing is that do you know how the visual representation of the rust monster came about?
Oh wow, no.
That drops on D&D lore. Basically, the owlbear, the rust monster, and the boulet. Yeah, bullet. They were like these very cheap dinosaur, the small dinosaurs, the toys. Like you would buy a bag with a bunch of these dinosaurs in there.
Oh
like bright colors, but they didn't look like any dinosaurs that you know. They were that cheap. And Gary Gygax basically had a couple of those and gave them to his artists. Like, these are monsters drawn from me, and those were those 3. There's like
that's cool. Yeah.
So just
they've become very much a thing of themselves as well. Really iconic Dungeons and Dragons monsters. Yeah. So I like this one, and I wanted to what I like. So, you know. You can really bash your players somewhat, and I like to do this as well. In the end, they must feel great about stuff they are doing, but there can be quite long story arcs where I get my players a bit more depressed than positive, I'm guessing. So I have a lot of favorite sessions when it comes to being a dungeon master and a player. As you said, Michel, and explained that a lot of sessions can be either your favorite or a session for a diversity of reasons. But the one that really comes to mind when I read this one from Tom is the one where I finally gave into the mood my players had. They were really in a dark place, and they could certainly use something a bit more lighthearted. And so I sat down at the start of a session and finally said, people, okay, I know this is hard, so let's just take these characters and do a goblin hunt. And let's just enjoy the goblin hunt. And I said, okay, that's cool. Let's not think about the main adventure, and let's just do this thing. So what went on previous in that adventure is that they had lost stuff, they had they failed quests, they went to a village that was too powerful for them, and they finally went to a village of one of the parents of the characters. I know where this is going, says Roger. Yeah, so but we interrupted that, and we just did this goblin session. So I had drawn out a map of a goblin cavern, and you have to. Yeah, okay. You don't have to listen, Michel. And I drawn out this goblin cavern. And I even gave them the goblin cavern. I said, "Well, you enter here. You can go these ways, and the ant shaman will be at the back end of the cavern. So let's just play." And so they entered the cavern, and there were these goblins there, and there was these hobgoblins there, and the goblins, they attacked, and the first character did the burning hands and burned like 11 of the goblins, and then they scattered and everything, and the hobgoblins tried to intervene, but they were just as strong, and they hacked through these hobgoblins, and then they went to the second part of the cave, and they killed an other amount of goblins and hobgoblins, and there were some spellcasters in between. They were really making a good progress, and finally when they got to the last room, and there the head shaman of the tribe was there, and they went up to her, and the half elf got his rapier and pierced the last goblin through the chest, and he really said like ah, like that, and he did this expression with his face. And then I told him, well, I also have this map, and I pulled out another map, and it was the map of the village of where they were going, the village that was the home village of the player that just pierced the head shaman through the head goblin shaman through the chest. And I say, and when I put this map over the goblin map, you see that it's exactly the same kind of map, except that it is in trees instead of in a cavern. And now you suddenly realize, you look back and you see that there isn't a cavern at all. And you see all these goblins lying there, except they aren't goblins. The goblins are children, and the hobgoblins are parents of these children. And you know them all, because this is your tribe. And you went up to the main shaman, and you know who the main shaman is, or the main the headmistress of this village is your mother. So you're standing there with your rapier, and you just pierced her heart, and you killed her. And this is what a thing called the hate fever in my campaign does. It's a thing that if you have it, there's no problem, but everyone who sees you attacks you. And this whole village was under the influence of this hate fever, and I thought the best way to play this out is by giving them a goblin hunt and having them experience this great ecstasy of killing everything within this goblin cavern without repercussion, and then at the end turn the whole thing around and had him kill his mother. So that was one of my greatest victories as a dungeon master, and one of my coolest sessions ever.
Super lighthearted.
Yeah. And it sent them down spiraling, and they had to sit me down in the next session and said, we never want to experience this again. But for me, it was the greatest thing to do ever. And I love it. I just love it so much. Well, and now it's on the internet.
I love a good twist. It's dark. It's very, very dark.
Yeah. And because the first player who did the burning hands, he really said like, wait, what? So when I said I killed 11 goblins and I was proud of it with my burning hands, I really killed 11 elven children. I said, yep. That's what you did, because that's how this hate fever works. Yeah. Yep.
Yep.
So that's my one of my favorite sessions as a dungeon master.
Yeah, that sounds very dark and very cool.
Yeah.
As well. I mean, I think I would totally dig it if that would happen. I think the DM would pull something like that on me.
Yeah, I can never do it again, of course, but yeah.
No.
Yeah. Although I did something near to that in one of my previous sessions.
Yeah, you talked about it even.
Yeah, but it wasn't this dark, though. Yeah.
Talked about it during Jasper's laboratory, I think. Jasper's laboratory, right?
Yeah, I think so too.
It's the sandstorm story?
Yeah, the sandstorm story.
Yeah. All right. Yeah.
I have to leave you guys. Have a nice stream. Thank you, Wookie.
Wookstone, thank you so much. If I have any questions about Alien, then I will ask them.
Yeah. Ashley says, I play Paladins for a reason. I would be psychologically damaged by this. Essen says, at Ashley, probably best not to play a Paladin with Jasper as a Dungeon Master. Yeah, I get that, Esner, says Ashley. Well, most of my Paladins don't go so well, but it's mostly their fault anyway. Current Paladin is going strong for 8 levels now.
Ashley knows how I play paladins. My paladin would be fine.
Yeah. So that's what I have as an answer. Maybe I went over your content, but it reminded me of my best Dungeon Master session in a while. It's not it's one of my best Dungeon Master sessions because I did something really cool there, I think. But yeah, it's in answer to your answer, Tom. I just love it. So many layers. Yeah. Hope I did you right there.
Yeah, it's just reading the Tom's story again. It's just like you can almost feel the mounting tension and frustration with the characters and the players while reading through it.
Yeah, one of the funnier things is that one of the comments was that all pacifists, all diplomacy except for the rogue. Is that you finally get a party that wants to roleplay their ass out of any situation, and then you do this to them. You know, you finally have that party that really understands the role playing part, and then you destroy them and make them violent at the end. Yeah, I like it. Yeah. We are running late, but we have a couple of questions to go. Well, this is the one that Ashley sent in. So, Ashley, well, without sounding too egoistical, last night's session, the players have sailed into the capital and I needed a way to introduce some plot hooks. Cue a whole tax collector. Sorry, I have to pronounce it right. 5 minutes before the session, I added in a goblin serf to be his carry-all so he could be more of a a-hole by abusing the tiny goblin. The PCs, of course, take a huge interest in the goblin and his welfare, and I just make up he is a slave. Cue indignant outrage. Me making up 50 years of goblin lore in about 10 seconds. Another plot hook on the fly, changed to a goblin interaction. A trip to the goblin slave market where the PCs could buy battery-cased goblins, organic free-range goblins, and second-hand goblins. A goblin owner licensing board, and I think the PCs now want to start a revolution. Do you want to interrupt me?
No, I saw. I'm one of the other party members is in chat now as well.
Good thing I have 2 weeks to prepare thanks to Gary Con. Smile, smile. Why is it the best? The players were alternately laughing out loud and outraged. They were all deeply immersed, also breaking immersion. The time flew, and yet the players only really moved about 600 yards total. There were no maps, only 2 paintings of the harbor and some buildings, but all of the players knew exactly what was happening because they were all emotionally invested in what was happening. In total, I think we rolled about maybe 15 checks in 2.5 hours, yet there was no complaints about balance or lack of combat, because they were so gripped by this reality that they created by reacting and participating. What a session.
Yeah, that was an amazing session. It was so much fun. Basically, so we're playing in Theros, the campaign setting, and for those that play Magic the Gathering, you might know it. It's basically the Dungeons & Dragons version of ancient Greece. So Robbie is now in chat. He's also one of the players. I'm one of the players, and Ash, who's in chat, is the DM. So we arrive at this port, a huge port, and before we can carry on or go on with our ship, there's a tax collector that comes aboard, and he needs to take stock of all the papers and stuff. Right, and it started with he was describing this guy like you already wanted to punch him, and then he started abusing this little goblin that was carrying all his stuff, and we weren't really going to do anything about it. But then he sort of mentioned that the goblin was still in front of the gangplank. Like the tax collector was already leaving, walking the plank towards the shore. And this goblin was still there, and my character asked him, like, "Can I carry it for you?" And then he said, "Well, no, I don't think you're allowed to. I need to carry this." And I asked why, and he said, "Well, I'm a slave. Like, what's that? Is that a profession?" Because I wasn't familiar with slavery or the concept. My character, and then he said, "Well, no, actually, I'm a desk." And that's what started this entire thing. So It's like we're a desk. Like people should not be desks. Like desks should be desks, right? People should be people. And then, so we make our way off the gangplank. The goblin leaves with the able tax collector. We come into this giant sort of customs building, right? And there's all these tax collectors and customs officers or whatever. They're all working there, and they all have a goblin functioning as a coffee table or a desk or sometimes a chair. And from that point, it, like us, the characters just got like, yeah, we need to free these goblins. We need to start a goblin revolution here, and we need to free them all. But it was just so much fun stuff that actually, so we wanted to know, like, okay, where do we need to go, right? So we went to the we were walking towards the market, because maybe we could see something like, how does slavery work, and could we buy all the goblins or whatever, like all these stupid ideas that we had. And we came across another goblin who seemed to be running loose by himself. So like after a encounter of sorts, he agreed to come along with us. So I now have a goblin on my shoulder, and people are looking at me funny because, I mean, goblins are slaves and disgusting creatures, and why would I have one on my shoulder? So that was funny. But Ash just started throwing in all these lore drops that he was making up on the spot. It's like, why that goblin told us, that was on my shoulder now, told us that his friends, or his nephews, basically three of them, were desks, because their arms and legs all had the same length. So they were proportionally, they were well balanced to serve as desks. So this sort of stuff. And then we got to the market, and it's like, yeah, okay, you come to the specific part where all the goblin slaves are, and there's like this big pen, which has a sign like the free range goblins. And then there's this other sort of wooden box that just, and it has a sign with second-hand goblins, and like he was continuously making up all this stuff. It was so much fun. So let's see what he's saying about it.
Yeah, so only
the best free-range goblins. Yeah, that was.
Esther says, "I'd never buy a second-hand goblin. Only the best free-range goblins."
Yeah.
Well, Sir has impeccable taste, says Ashley, and Robbie says, "Nearly would only expect the best free-range goblins." He is the desk, apparently. So it's pretty quick reactions to what you were telling, and of course, Ashley knows best. I have no idea where that came from, along with describing your goblin as wearing people's clothes. I made a point of people treating the elves like royalty, as they could afford goblin carrier. Haha, yeah. The rough-looking elven hunter has a goblin carrier. The rich one just stood looking at us.
So yeah, I'm a tiefling paladin, and I'm carrying the goblin, and tieflings are not that custom either. Like they're not one of the main races either on Pharaoh. So they were all looking at the elves in the party, like, oh, you got a goblin slave and a goblin carrier, namely the tiefling. Yeah, it was so much fun, all in all. And what also made it fun is that Theros is a really epic campaign setting, right? It's old Greece. Everything, like the word epic, is from this period in time. Yeah. Like the definition of it. And the word itself. So we know that Ashley, and we already had a couple of sessions, and they already have been pretty epic, like talking to old titans and meeting half demigods and all this stuff. And then it completely derailed when he said goblin slave serves as a desk.
It's cool.
And that's what made it amazing, because you know that Ash had probably prepared some epic thing that would happen in the harbor or whatever. And instead of that, we went on a mission to free the goblins.
Yeah. So cool. Yeah. Yeah. I have nothing to add. You described it pretty well, I think, and Ashley described it as well. And you feel the energy coming from this text.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you so
So much
much.
fun.
Yeah. Hope we did you right as well, Ashley. So then we go to the not the final, but the one before the final question. Juliana says, last October when I DM'd my first full day session, I was building up to a big bad of that particular arch, and my players had a million crazy theories of who this guy could be, and how awful he could be, and what he had possibly done to one of the PC's parents. Well, it turns out that the big bad was just a normal human who had to make many hard and awful choices and become the necessary evil in the city in order to prevent worse things outside its walls. He had been afflicted by a terminal illness and was going mad trying to extend his own life while being in the shadow ruler behind a naive king. He had actually taken care of the PC's aging parents while desperately searching for the PC to give him a chance to see them before their deaths. That didn't happen, but the big bad paid off all of their debts so they could live happily and turn their old home into a beautiful garden where they were eventually buried. He couldn't bring himself to use them against the PCs, as spending time with the parents gave him the family he had lost through his own actions long ago. All ended with the final battle in the sky against the dragon attack, with the last moments being the PC holding his wounded and dying nemesis in his arms. He had done some good, but not enough to be fully forgiven by the PC. The PC told him goodbye and shot him in the head. It was emotional, it was crazy, it made my players question lots of things. It was awesome.
It was epic. We were just talking about epic, and this is epic.
Yeah, so I talked to this person through Messenger, and when I said that this would be on the show, she immediately said, well, this is also part of this story. And then I got message after message after message. But she is doing a D&D session right now, so she couldn't join, but she would watch on YouTube. But this is a story, and I love the introduction. How she handled the villain is just great.
Yeah,
and at the same time, it's unstoppable that they will kill him.
Yeah, because he did do all these.
Yeah, he had to die, and yeah.
But no, this sounds amazing.
This is a great adventure.
I think that for me, those emotional moments can really make a campaign, right?
Yeah.
I think that's very important. I would really like to do as a one shot, or maybe a 2 or 3 or 5 shot, do the old school Dungeons and Dragons, like what it is supposed to be. We should just go into a dungeon and kill stuff. But that would be fun, trying to survive. But this is the stuff why I love this game so much.
Yeah, I think it's really good. But it's also it's a play style. Let's not forget this. Because I tend to put the emotional stories at the end of my show, but that doesn't. It's their way, and I must say that it's the thing I like the most as well. But it's a way of playing. I just wanted to mention that in context.
Yes.
Yeah.
So just to make sure that there's no right or wrong way to play it. This is just how I would prefer, how I prefer it. In general.
Yeah, and you have to really build up to this moment, right? You can't do this on session one.
You can do this in a one shot. I mean, you might, but this particular story feels like there has been a lot of build up and a lot of backstory, a lot of development on all sides. And
she also said that the player will be watching, and he was really invested in this story arc because he's the main PC. I think.
Did you tell him that it would be the last answer on the show, so he would have to?
I said it would be at the end of the show somewhat, and it would be a 2-hour show. It's now 2 hours and 13 minutes. So, so they are going to watch, and they know this already. But but it's such a good answer, and I really can't add that much to it anymore. I just think that people should see this and read this somewhat.
Yeah.
So we are going to the last answer, and that is a pretty short one, and you will
I
immediately.
feel like I need to say more about this answer because I really like it that much, but I think we've said anything that we could, and like I don't know more details, but I hope we did your answer justice because I
Yeah,
really like it.
yeah. I have the same thing. I can't. Yeah, it's beautiful.
It is what it is, and
It is
that's
what
why
it is.
like
Yeah, yeah. And I think you're having some great experiences around your gaming table. I can imagine that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's go to the last one, which is a very short one. Basically says my last one because it just happened.
My last one because it just happened. I said that as well.
Yeah, you said it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Because it just happened.
my last one because it just happened.
And we had this on Voidcast. So when we started streaming, after every session, we said like, "Man, this was an amazing session. This was like
it was the best one yet."
Yeah, this is the best one yet. And then the session afterwards, like this is the best one yet. And it's not arrogance but it's just the fact that it just happened and you're really into it, and you had an encounter, you could use something new or do something new or learn a piece of lore or whatever it is during that session. Because in a good in general, every new session you will do something new, learn something new, so it makes sense that after each session that's the new thing, so that's awesome and the best.
Yeah. I think so too. And at the same time, I don't know if this connotation is in here. I don't know, because it could just be the last session, but it could also be because it happened.
Yeah, it's like, oh yeah, we fought this lich. And
no. What I mean is that it happened. So it could also just be that it was even possible to have a session. That could always also be the meaning of this sentence, Yeah. So
20 years. And
finally
got to do it.
Yeah, finally got to do it. Yeah.
20 years.
So that's what I really loved about it. Yeah. Yeah.
It's the first and only session I ever played after 20 years.
Yeah, but it happened. Yeah,
because
it was the best. Sometimes just meeting up is the highlight of the week.
Yes.
True. Yeah.
True.
Yeah.
True that.
Yeah. So those are all the answers. There's still some people in chat. I think we're running late because well, we can sense that we are running late, right? So we're going to the last screen, and I've done a different thing here. This is the last screen. What will be the next question for
choice
for Talking Void? And that's a viewer's choice. So that would be. I think that would be fun for once, right? We have had suggestions before, and we have had content given to us before, but maybe someone in chat has an idea of what the next question will be. So going out on a limb here, people, please give me something, otherwise it will be a pretty strange ending.
Oh, okay. It is already a strange ending, Jasper, because viewer's choice, in my opinion, means that you're going to present 3 choices right now, and if
oh no, it's totally open, as I always am totally open, open-ended.
Viewers' input, there's no choice to be made. It's just whatever you can.
Yeah, okay. I think there are more than one. There's more than one connotation to the word choice. Then.
I was waiting for option A, option B, option C.
No, there's not an option A, B, or C. No, it's just your choice. What do you want the question to be? What's the biggest barrel you ever bought at the supermarket? That's a really strange Dungeons and role-playing question.
What's the best magic item you ever had?
Yeah.
Did we already have that? Yeah.
Yeah, really. But here comes one from Ashley. Favorite setting, either a place or a plane or somewhere your dungeon master takes you. Best
Best-
small side quest. Ooh,
Yeah, if we don't get like 12 rats in basements, I don't know what this game is anymore.
I do like that one. Right?
Yeah, I like it too.
So I think it will become that one.
Side
Side
quest.
quest. Oh,
Yeah.
Ashley
Okay.
agrees. Okay, now I can breathe again. Thank you, Esther, for the ID. We'll be doing that. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Cool.
2 weeks right
So
here.
yeah. So we are running really late.
Yeah,
I
I
think
will.
I'm going to do a short outro and not a 20-minute one this time. I had a lot of fun. I hope Chet had as well, and I hope you did as well too, Michel.
I did.
Yeah.
I had ups and downs during this episode.
You had? Tell me.
Well, not in mood, but there was one point where I started yawning a bit, which had nothing to do with a lack of interest, but it's just me being super tired. And then I got over it and got super energized, and now I can already feel like, yeah, we need to stop.
We need to stop. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
the same for me. Yeah. So thanks all for watching. Please, we'll probably be doing the GaryCon thing next Monday, so you can watch it on our own channel there. We might do something different, but I think it's going to be that thing. And we'll do a Jasper's Lab with foreshadowing on the Tuesday, and then parallel projections the Monday after that, and then we're going into the cycle again. We might have a guest, but it's not really on the next Talking Void, but I'm not certain yet. We'll see. And if we do, we'll have an announcement ready soonish. Yeah, I had a lot of fun. I hope you had a lot of fun. Much obliged. They're having a gentleman's agreement
Thank
in
you
chat.
again for a lovely
Yeah.
show, Jasper.
Well,
And
thank you as well. Thank you for
thank
being
you
my
for
guest. I love the interaction this show also with chat, and yeah,
Yeah,
you
chats
can see.
were all amazing. The answers were amazing.
Yeah, good answers. Yeah, had a lot of
good
fun.
answer screen.
The
We have
good
a
answer
small
screen.
answer, big answer screen. We have a good answer screen.
Yeah, we also have a good answer screen. That's the next thing
That's
we'll do.
all of it.
Yeah.
That's all of it.
So see you all later. We are going into the outro. Goodbye.